Thankfully, Democratic socialists like Dean Preston have been acquiring political power in places like San Francisco, where he helped stop the construction of a new apartment complex that would have created 500 new housing units. Hello, fellow working class comrades, and welcome to another edition of Ralphie the Revolutionary. I'm your host, Ralphie the Revolutionary, and on my last show, I asked a very important fundamental question. Would you rather live in a society of abundance, or would you rather live in a society that's fair?
It's not about what I want. It's about what's fair!
That's what socialists should ask themselves whenever they approach politics. Even Bernie Sanders touched upon this last week on Twitter. Bernie Sanders said, maybe, just maybe, instead of giving bored billionaires money to zoom around outer space, we could finally end the international embarrassment of being the only major country on the planet not to guarantee paid family and medical leave to its people. How about that? Yeah, this is just embarrassing for capitalism. Just embarrassing for capitalism. Like, yeah, sure. Under freer markets, you get to do a lot of cool stuff. Like zoom around outer space and explore the oceans and explore the seas on big, luxurious cruise boats. While you stuff your face at the buffet before you go on your little snorkeling excursions. And now under freer markets, we're starting to get driverless trucks. Driverless trucks. You know, this is actually something that I appreciate about people like Tucker Carlson. I know a lot of people on the left, they hate Tucker Carlson because he's on Fox News, but Tucker Carlson, he's a man for the working class. And Tucker Carlson actually made a really good point about driverless trucks.
Pedal hits the metal. Like you talk in the book about technology and how it's shifting and taking away jobs from folks. Yes. And you make specific reference to truck driving and the fact that there are going to be these automated cars on the roads. So would you, Tucker Carlson, be in favor of restrictions on the ability of trucking companies to use this sort of technology specifically to, sort of artificially maintain the number of jobs that are available in the trucking industry?
Are you joking? In a second. In a second. In other words, if I were president, when I say to DOT, to Department of Transportation, we're not letting driverless trucks on the road, period. Why? Really simple. Driving for a living is the single most common job for high school educated men in this country, in all 50 states.
Yeah. It's a real shame that we don't have working class heroes like Tucker Carlson in the White House right now. Because now we have big corporations, big corporate monopolies, like Walmart starting to use driverless trucks. And other big corporations like Apple and Uber and Tesla, they're starting to make driverless vehicles. Does anybody really need a driverless vehicle? Like, yeah, sure, having a robot chauffeur you around town, yeah, it sounds like you're in a futuristic science fiction cartoon. Sounds pretty cool. But you know it's not cool. Putting working class truckers out of a job. So no, not cool. And going back to Bernie's tweets, people are not having families anymore because nobody can afford to leave work because nobody gets paid maternity leave. Because billionaires are hoarding all of the money in society so that they can zoom around outer space. Does anybody really need to go to outer space? And really, paid maternity leave, that should have been in the Constitution on day one in 1791. The Founding Fathers should have taxed billionaires and big corporations in 1791 to guarantee that every mother has at least 18 years of paid maternity leave. And everyone just excuses this injustice because of fancy technology. Neoliberal bootlickers especially like to talk about all the cool technology that's created because of free markets and the profit motive. The profit motive. Always talking about these fancy touchscreen gadgets like the iPhone and the Android phone and how they have high-definition cameras that just a decade ago were unaffordable to the masses. Well, whoop-de-doo, Scooby-Doo. Yeah, everyone makes a big fuss about how you can just pull out your iPhone nowadays and have food from any restaurant in your area delivered to your front door with just a few taps. Tap, tap, tap. And in 45 minutes, ding, ding, food is at your door. Bootlickers always going on and on and on about all of the cool stuff that's created in Silicon Valley. All the cool stuff that's created in Silicon Valley. You guys know what Silicon Valley also created. You know what Silicon Valley also created? They created high housing costs and homelessness in the Bay Area by inviting all of these big tech billionaires and venture capitalists and high-income software engineers who came to the Bay Area and priced out the working class. You still think capitalism is cool because you get to play on your little iPhone while puffing your little electronic cigarette, riding around in your Uber that's driven by a robot, getting all the food in the world delivered to your front door from DoorDash and Grubhub and Uber Eats, which you're probably relying on, because let's face it, folks, you're probably relying on all that delivery food because your employer is working you too many hours to the point where you don't have enough time anymore to cook a decent meal at home. And you talk yourself into all this injustice because, hey, at least it's better than waiting in bread lines under socialism. Just remember, for every meal you order on Uber Eats, someone in the Bay Area gets evicted. Are you guys still enjoying that $34 Grubhub lasagna, knowing that it put a single mother in the Bay Area out on the curb, out on the street? I didn't think so. Thankfully, Democratic socialists like Dean Preston have been acquiring political power in places like San Francisco, where he helped stop the construction of a new apartment complex that would have created 500 new housing units. In other words, Dean Preston, what he really stopped was more abundance. And yeah, sure, maybe those 500 units would have provided housing in San Francisco for the residents who really need more affordable housing. But is the new housing really worth the fact that a developer is gonna make a profit. I don't think so. Even DSA San Francisco chimed in talking about all this fuss about my supply and demand. My supply and demand, because a lot of neoliberal bootlickers, they always talk about the high housing costs and homelessness in places like San Francisco. And you know what they blame it on? You know what they blame it on? They blame it on regulations, like zoning laws, and environmental regulations, and NIMBYs. For those who don't know, that means not in my backyard. NIMBYs, saying that all this stuff is driving up construction costs to the point where affordable housing, new affordable housing, isn't profitable anymore, making housing more scarce, more supply and demand. When actually, there's no housing shortage in San Francisco. There's actually plenty of vacant housing units. There's actually plenty of vacant housing units in San Francisco. It's just not profitable to give away the vacant housing units for free to people who need them. So yeah, sure, cities like San Francisco and states like California could deregulate the housing market and make it more affordable, make it actually profitable, make it actually profitable for developers to build low-income housing, maybe bring prices down for consumers and residents. Yeah, maybe there's truth to that. Or we could just forcefully take the vacant units I was talking about that's owned by the upper class. I mean, if you think about it, it's much easier to just take stuff that already exists than to just build a bunch of new stuff. Why waste resources on creating new stuff when everyone's basic needs are being hoarded? I mean, it's common sense, you guys. Get with the program. Again, you have to ask yourself, would you rather live in a society of abundance, or would you rather live in a society that's fair?
It's not about what I want. It's about what's fair!
And I think what's fair is that we abolish private property. Yeah, because private property just leads to class conflict. And that's not good. That's not good. I mean, this is like Karl Marx 101, you guys. Get with the program. Speaking of DSA San Francisco, Democratic Socialists of America, San Francisco, and greedy landlords and landowners, this is probably why DSA San Francisco looks up to courageous leaders like Mao Zedong. For those who don't know, Chairman Mao Zedong, he led the Workers' Revolution in the People's Republic of China. And Mao Zedong helped reduce homelessness by inspiring the working class in the People's Republic of China to rise up and purge the landlords and the landowners. Now, a lot of neoliberal bootlickers, they like to make a big fuss about the millions of people that died in the People's Republic of China because of decisions made, because of the leadership of Chairman Mao. And I think the brilliant economist Richard Wolff actually made some good points about this.
Who you're talking about. I also know it's popular to do this bizarre analysis by death counts, counting people who died in Russia in the 1920s and 30s or in China in the 60s. Do you really want to do your analysis that way? Well, let's see what happened under capitalism's rule. I see. World War One. Oh, World War Two. Oh, the colonial period from which.
Yeah, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Mao Zedong is responsible for a few deaths here and there in the People's Republic of China. Yeah. But you know how many deaths? Do you know how many deaths that capitalism is responsible for? Literally every other death in human history. That's not good. That's not good. So spare me your pearl clutching over my death counts, okay? Get with the programs. Besides, as you can see, a lot of these deaths that you like to clutch your pearls over, a lot of these deaths were landlords, and landlords are oppressors. I guess some people call this classicide. They call it classicide. I call it liberation. Even Richard Wolff is brave enough to praise Chairman Mao's leadership.
Things which only politeness hold me back from pointing out are simply errors of fact. I mean, they really are not something for us to debate over. What was done by the communist government in China after 1949 is everywhere in the world recognized for the humanitarian transformation of those people's lives that it was. Did it along the way involve all kinds of conflict? You bet.
Yeah, guys, yeah. Yeah, see, Mao Zedong was actually a humanitarian. Don't believe all the propaganda that you hear from corporations and billionaires. You're actually having your consent manufactured, and that's not good. That's not good. Even working class heroes like Hassan Piker, they occasionally channel their inner Mao Zedong.
It's hurt poor people that they can afford housing in Berkeley. I don't know how that works.
My understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers in a video game. Sorry. Holy shit. Murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude. Oh my god, in a video game, of course.
Yeah, and before you go around accusing Hassan Piker of inciting violence, like the bootlickers who posted this video, they're saying that Hassan Piker calls for violence. He clearly said in a video game. Which means you can't take him literally on that kind of stuff. And in the video game he's probably talking about the new video game that came out in May of 2020, called Tonight We Riot, which is about the working class overthrowing capitalism.
Nice. The gas wore off. We survived the gas. We're out of the poop. Oh no, the gas. Man, our little bandanas didn't save us at all from the confusion gas. Gotta stay away from that confusion gas. Yeah, good job, Means. This is fun. It's silly. I mean, I don't think you're gonna convert normies with this. It's pretty overt. I think this has a very niche clientele.
Yeah, it's a game that makes rioting look cool and fun. But going back to Democratic Socialists of America, it does please me. It does give me hope to see organizations like Democratic Socialists of America, San Francisco, getting the good word of Mao Zedong out there. And it also pleases me to see members of Democratic Socialists of America gaining positions of political power, like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Representative Jamal Bowman and San Francisco Supervisor Dean Preston. I guess that should give you some hope for this holiday season. I would wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, but is Thanksgiving really a happy holiday? Bringing it back to the theme of the show for today, which is, would you rather live in a society with abundance, or would you rather live in a society that's fair? You should probably think twice about celebrating Thanksgiving, because what else is Thanksgiving? What else is Thanksgiving other than a celebration of abundance? You know how the Pilgrims achieved abundance? You know how the Pilgrims achieved abundance? The Pilgrims apparently achieved abundance with private property. Governor William Bradford of Plymouth gave everyone their own parcel of land. He wrote all about it in his memoirs, about how property was communally owned at first. It was fair! But now we have neoliberal bootlickers like John Stossel. They focus on the fact that the Pilgrims, about how they starved, about how they were malnourished because of communal living, about how the Pilgrims did not have a lot of food because of communal living, about how productivity was low. Yeah. You know what else could have helped feed the Pilgrims? You know what really could have helped feed the Pilgrims in 1621? A tax on billionaires and big corporations. But instead, Pilgrims were given their own plot of land and were allowed to keep the fruits of their labor instead of sharing, which resulted in more abundance. And that shouldn't be celebrated. All this abundance. Is all this abundance worth the high cost of class struggle? I didn't think so. I didn't think so. And now that we see that the abundance is a result of oppression and class struggle, I think that it's only right that you stop celebrating Thanksgiving.